how you can communicate the fact that you want to help somebody, and it completely changes the narrative. And I see, Pavla, you're on camera. Isn't that a big difference when you're trying to help people and it changes the whole perspective?
Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep.
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely. Raf, did I miss anything you had yesterday? I heard you saying, because looks like I missed something.
Oh, that was a
Yes,
live
it does
event.
make.
That was a live event I did in Westfield. And by the way, Pablo, I'm moving my trip up a week, so I'll send you out the details for September. But yeah, we had a group of about 12 people, and we had Bruce's team was there. It was just a fantastic collaborative event. And like, Pablo, if you can share with the group, like, what did you think about knocking on people's door at 10 a.m. on a Saturday or a Sunday, and then what was the reality?
Well, the reality, it was 11:30 a.m. and
Okay.
the reality is that the way you approach people is that there's absolutely no way for them to say no, because, and I try to do the same. What happens? They open the door all kind of upset, thinking you want to sell, but once you ask the question and made them aware that you're there to help, their entire body language and mindset had changed, and they started to think who I can possibly refer to be helped, or maybe he can even help me. So that's what I got out of it. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's not a sales pitch. I spent this weekend up here, and Pavla, that momentum we had kind of carried through to North Jersey here, and we just had a fantastic weekend. We had several people with an hour getting, probably 2 listing appointments in the next month. Was David, we started out. And it's really interesting because I want to talk about what I call like the 0 moment of truth, which is when somebody opens the door or somebody answers the phone, right? We're all programmed to reject a sales pitch, right? And it's that inflection, it's the tonality, it's the message that you send that changes the whole narrative. Okay. And I can see that, some people might go and then they might go on their own and they might go off target, and it would change the trajectory of the conversation. So the core, or the foundation of everything that we need to do needs to come around, how can I help somebody, right? And how do I have a conversation on how I can help somebody? And if that's our mission, the conversation is so much easier, and I can just go through, all experiences where, in Pavla's case, the president of the HOA wanted us to throw us out because there was no soliciting. And then she gave us 3 or 4 people that need to sell. Right. I mean, she was like, there's no soliciting here. I'm the president of the HOA. And then she's like, oh, these people
and then
can't.
She couldn't stop.
Exactly.
Couldn't stop. We could not. Yeah.
So, and to be honest, it's, I mean, I'm not peddling steak knives or selling solar systems. So I'm really not soliciting in that aspect, and when I humanized it and said, Pavla's sellers got relocated, they lost their job, and we're just trying to help them. She was just like over the moon trying to help us. And the same happens when we do conversation.
Or the guy with the dog, which is, I'm not, I don't need anything. And then you did your little thing with him, how can I help? And by the time he turned back, he was full of information what he needs.
Yeah, and yep. And Pablo, that happens all the time. So I just hope that, you're continuing that mission. I'm not going to put you on the spot here, but I hope you're out there, knocking on doors and creating conversations to, help people and then live an abundant life by doing a lot of business. So I'm here today to say I had recommended a book, Exactly What to Say in Real Estate. And, I think I even gave my copy away. I was going to look at my highlighting on it because I'm always like telling people and handing it out. So I'm probably going to pick up a new version of it. But I think I have it pretty much nailed down. And what I want to do is I want to have a conversation about how we can overcome like your biggest challenge is. Okay. And I will tell you that, you know, it all starts with the initial interaction, and then it follows through to your listing conversation, into how that listing conversation or that listing appointment lands. How does that wind up? You know, do you wind up with a listing that's well priced, or do you wind up with, you know what, I'm going to get back to you. I'm interviewing others, all these stale tactics that, you know, in my opinion, you know, I reject, you know, and, you know, for those of you who were trained with the traditional, let me go look at the house and then let me come back, you know, that was back in the day when we had no idea, like there was no photographs of the home, there was no AVMs, there was less technology to help us out. And, you know, back, you know, this is going back probably 8 years ago when I was training this woman, Sandy, brand new agent. You know, we got a listing appointment from KV Core. It was actually called Conversion then. And I was a little bit green. We went out there, I looked at the tax record, I looked at the last time it sold, and I did this whole very sophisticated market analysis. And when I get there, I realized I didn't ask them, you know, or maybe I forgot what they said, you know, to tell me about their house. Cause I was like, this house sold 4 years ago. They're now getting divorced. It's a 3-bedroom, you know, 2.5 bath home. And I did all the comps. I go out there and it's a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, because they built an in-law suite in one of the garages. So I had another zero moment of truth, and I just went through my CMA, which probably really had very little integrity to it, because comparing a 3-bedroom to a permanent 4-bedroom is a little bit unrealistic. But I was like, look, you know what? Let's talk about, here's where it would have been as a 3-bedroom. See this job that you did here. I'm going to add $25,000 for the additional improvements in the bedroom. And we signed up the listing, and they were a raving fan. We got multiple offers, and you know, that was by having the confidence, you know, to go through and not say, oh, let me come back. I think many of us would have said, let me go rerun my numbers. How many of us honestly would have said, I need to rerun my numbers after you take a look at it, maybe turned it into a 2-step? So a couple of you would do it. Some of you might not even be responding, but
Never do it.
Huh?
I would never do it that way.
How would you have handled it if you made a mistake? You made an honest mistake, Ron. You ran the comps on the wrong, you know, configuration.
Well, see, I bring my iPad with me, so I can go right onto MLS and search and find what I need to find there, so I don't have to go back to my office. But it rarely ever happens to do the wrong house, wrong numbers. I never had that problem. But I guess if people do, then you should have your laptop with you.
Right. Like, I mean, I would just, you know, for me, Ron, it would be my personality is like, I wouldn't be able to pull that off and having them wait while I run numbers and then, you know, recreate the CMA or the analysis. But that's what's great about this business. If you're comfortable in saying, hey, you know what, let me pull up my computer, let me make some adjustments to these numbers, and you have the confidence, you know, you will close the deal equally as effective as somebody who does it a different way. But I think we all need to.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say to you, but that was like when you were just getting started. I think you said it was your first time out. I bet you today you could definitely do it on the fly. And that's the confidence factor that we always talk about.
So I think if I miscalculated, I think I would have the ability to just say, look, you know, we're going to make a reasonable adjustment, and knowing in fact that if I was $10,000 or $15,000 below where it should be, the market will price it up.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you know, that's just where my mindset's at. And you know, I don't believe that I am God. I don't believe like I'm like an appraiser who tells me that, you know, this house is worth $772,000, Robert. It's not worth the $790 they're paying for it. That drives me mad, right? Because there's no, I don't care how accurate you are. There's no, you know, you can't account for the fact that maybe when this house goes on the market, there's 5 extra houses competing against it, going to drive it down, or maybe this is the only one on the market and it's going to get 40,000 more, right? There's that there's that component to our business, which is like day dependent, right? If you're in Mountain Lakes, how many houses are there, Robert, between 900 and 1,000,001 in Mountain Lakes generally? Just a rough ballpark. That's a very narrow range.
It's a very narrow range, and especially in this market, there's maybe 2 or 3.
Okay. Now, if there were 0, you think that that would influence your ability to price it more aggressively and get a higher price?
I can give you the perfect example. Is when I put my house on my listing on the market back in March, there were 8 houses total in town on the market, and I put it on for $1,675,000. It sold for $2 million. Now that is because there were no houses on the lake on the market at that time. This was a house that was in the middle of town, away from the lakes, and now houses that have come on the market on the lake haven't even sold for $2 million. So my sellers, because of timing and the fact that there was very little to no competition, were able to take advantage of that to really profit from their sale.
So I mean, and when did you come on the market at, Robert?
March,
165?
on at $1,675,000.
Now, if you went on at $1,625,000 or $1,725,000, you probably would have landed the same place, right?
Probably, yes.
Because you had the benefit of being extremely tight supply. Now,
Correct.
if there were 8 houses on the market and you priced it wrong, it would be a lot more critical that you get the pricing right to get that activity that you need.
Right.
So yesterday we had I think a really good
Rob.
conversation. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think your analogy is correct about the appraiser. And so it's like a work of art. It's what people are willing to pay for it that really sets the value.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes we get, I don't mean to be offensive to anybody, we get too full of ourselves on how accurate we need to be. Okay, and one tip that, I will say that some of our top teams and top agents that have been successful recently are doing is they're embracing the concept of never coming to an appointment with, here's my recommended price.
I
Right, because
agree 100%. That's the kiss of death.
Because most people, if you say, it's a beautiful day, there's a little clouds over the mountain there, right? So they're gonna challenge you, and that's just their personality. And we need to not create friction where friction need not be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, good point.
I want to. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Most sellers, when you go to a listing appointment, they claim that they have no idea how to price it. Well, I have no idea. That's why I got you here. Okay, well, here out of these, what you just saw on my computer, where do you think we should be priced at? I'll let them make the decision. And when they point out, well, I'm not sure. I'll say, well, the highest sale is 565, and the middle sale is 525. I said maybe somewhere around that 535. Oh, we're never going to list it that low. No way. We want 600,000. So sellers really know. They know what they want. Whether they're realistic or not, that's up to you how you can make it or persuade them that they're making a mistake by listing it overpriced listing. That's where your 3
Well, actually, that place is.
your 3 subject lines, like the auction, marketplace, market value, and
Lottery.
The lottery. That's where that come in play. But, that's mostly how it goes for me. I don't know about anybody else.
No, I agree with you, Ron. That's how it goes for most people.
So I want to. Ron, can you just share with the group now? Do you have a capacity to how many people can participate in your training, or are you kind of open?
No, I'm open. I send emails out to probably 50 agents some in the Jersey area, and a lot of them down here, of course. Whoever, we had a pretty good turnout yesterday. We had a buyer class, and we talked about buyers and qualifying them and all, just interacting with the agents, and it was really, really helpful to everyone. And people that are agents that are not participating in this kind of curriculum are really missing out on a lot of good things. Just like your door knocking classes or your role playing classes, people that don't attend are missing out on really good information.
Well, and
Right.
it's always good to sharpen your skills.
Absolutely.
And when even if you don't need the 90-day fast start, to participate in Ron's classes helps you sharpen your skills and gives you ideas. It's always
Exactly.
worthwhile.
Thank you.
So-
It stimulates a lot of agents, gets them more motivated.
So one of the mindsets that I have, other than like being of service and like if you help people, then they can't help but pay you, right? And I know a lot of people looked at the cases where you've done a million things and somebody took advantage of you, and we can't look at that example. And if that example happens, we have to look at what we could have done differently. Okay. And occasionally there's somebody that's really bad, that's bad-hearted, mean-spirited. But that's the vast, vast, vast minority of people. And don't wish it was easy. Okay. Is anybody that would wish this business would be a little bit easier? Be honest with me.
No.
And
No.
anybody wish it would be easy? There's somebody out there that wish it would be easier. Just pipe up and tell me. I just want to have a healthy conversation.
No, there'd be too much competition.
There's
Exactly.
already enough of agents as is.
So there's nobody that wishes cold calling was easier? Be honest. Who wishes
Oh.
cold calling was easier? Robert does. Anybody else?
It would be nice if it were
Cold
easier.
calling, cold
Okay.
calling,
Cold
yeah.
calling, yeah.
Okay, you wish cold calling was
Cold calling,
easier. But I got
It's
news
the
for you.
fear of rejection.
Well, no. It's
Uh-huh.
That's
forget about
true.
the fear. No, forget about the fear of rejection. Don't wish
Okay.
it was easier. Wish you were better.
I love it.
Good point.
Okay, because if it were easy, somebody said that there would be a lot more competition, and that is true. But we really need to figure out how can we be better and not wish it was easier, because it is what it is. And if we have the right mindset but the wrong strategy, we're going to be challenged, right? I mean, we can be super duper positive, but if we don't have the tools and resources to accomplish that, we're going to struggle. So
I
I
don't-
personally, good, Colleen.
I don't know if Scott's on the call, but I had the privilege of listening to him over several days doing his cold calls. And it was just like music. He did an excellent job. He never stopped. Even when he got rejected, he just kept going. And
Right.
I think it's mastering that skill.
Scott, you
It's
on the
not
call?
really, it's not a skill. It's just knowing that maybe the next call is going to be a winner. When you get rejected, the auto dialer helps, because the minute they hang up on you, it just goes right to the next call. You don't even have time to stop to think about, oh man, that sucked. Because I think I had some numbers. I think I got hung up on like 21 times.
Yeah, we
But I
use
mean-
a dollar. It's really good, helpful.
Yeah, I made 94 calls in that one day that she heard me go on and on and on. It took me roughly 2.5 hours. I stopped. I had 2 like 7-minute breaks in between. I got through an entire neighborhood that I just listed and got under contract a house. And I was really, I love the just listed, just sold, because when you call the neighbors, you're just trying to give them that information, like you're saying, Rob, to help them. And the ones that at least give you 2 seconds to talk, they're much more amicable to hear. And oh, well, how much did it sell for? And oh, have a question about, well, mine's like this or that. So you get information even when they're not ready to sell. You make some notes and put it in for later. And if the next time you call, you got, hey, remember this is Scott from Remax. We spoke 2 months ago. Blah blah blah.
So, Robert, you remember the days, I don't know if anybody's on the call, maybe going back 6 or 7 years ago when we used to get around the table and do outbound calls? Anybody
Yeah.
beside Robert remember those days?
We did, yep.
Now those days, that was the epitome of what I'm talking about here, because, you know, nobody knows if I'm the janitor or the CEO when I'm calling, right? So there's no excuse there. And, you know, I have the same, you know, half a second to build an impression on that phone. And when I'm just saying, hey, you know, I just wanted to, you know, see if I can be of any help, they give me the same lame excuses that they're conditioned to do. And, you know, and I'm not bragging on myself, but I'm just saying, like, I did that because I wanted to contribute, because I don't sell real estate. Every call I make is for the team, right? If I get a good call, Robert, how many of them did I go and list myself?
0.
0, right? I would go out there and help you get the listing,
Right.
but I would want that call to be hard so that I can show you a alternative process to having a favorable outcome, right? And you know, whether it's, you know, somebody hung up and used a 4-letter word with somebody before, and I was so frustrated at a point in time that I had agents get this call recording program where they could record their calls, and they would bring the call in and I would listen to it. I'm like, I can totally see why they hung up on you. You were like a deer in the headlight. You froze and they shot. They just shot you between the eyes and said, hey, I'm done. I'm hanging up. And it's those minor, small pivots and the changes that people can hear, they can sense, they can tell. Last evening, we had a really good discussion about, you know, Shantae, was you who said the FSBOs were tough, or who was telling me the FSBOs are challenging?
They are, I can tell you.
Shantae, are you where you can talk, or Anita?
I'm here.
So we had that conversation about, like, oh, well, what if that, you know, here was what I believe the conversation was. I was out at an appointment and the person said that their neighbor just sold it for more than they wanted on their own, and why would they want to work with me? Right, I'm just going to try to sell it myself. Does anybody ever have that that fact pattern, or a seller who has that belief?
Yes.
I have a whole neighborhood like that, Rob.
Christine, okay, so you have a whole neighborhood like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my conversation would be, yeah, that's fantastic. You know, some people do sell it for, you know, sell it on their own. You know, but it's been my experience that, you know, they, in most cases, with almost without exception, they could have gotten more money even after paying a commission. And I'm like putting the gloves on, waiting for the fight, right?
Mhm.
And let me ask you, Christine, what do you think a seller thinks marketing a property is?
I think a lot
what's-
of them think you just put it on the MLS and you put a sign on the lawn and that's it.
Well, how about if they don't list it? What do they think it is?
Well, in this case, it's a cultural, I want to call it a phenomenon. It's a cultural, I guess, thought process, in the sense that they said they're very community driven, and they said, we don't need realtors. We don't have to pay the extra money, because all we have to do is let it be known in the neighborhood. And we've got tons of friends, relatives, colleagues of everyone that lives here that come and like begging to live here.
But
So
don't you also think they feel like Zillow is replaced the MLS?
for them, sure.
Yes.
Right. And I love that conversation, because I'll be like, you know, Christine, when you put your house on Zillow, how much does that cost you? And then we brag, hey, it's free. Cost me nothing. Anybody ever have that? Christine,
I'm sorry. How much does
So
it cost you?
how much does it cost a FSBO to put their house on Zillow?
Nothing.
It's free.
Yep.
You know how much it costs a homeowner to put their house on for rent on Zillow?
Nothing.
$9.
I don't even know.
It might be like $10 a day, $50 a week, right?
$30.
So I would be like this, Christine, you know, if you wanted to rent your house, you know, it's not free on Zillow. But when you sell it, it's
Okay.
free. Do you have any idea why that is?
Agents are buying the leads.
No, I would ask that to the seller, I'd say, you know what, because Zillow's
No.
client is the real estate community. And what they do, Christine, is they use your house to generate leads for the real estate community who pay them to advertise there. And when you put it on Zillow, in all likelihood, you're probably going to get 5 realtor calls to every buyer call.
Yep.
And if they did put it on Zillow, do you think they're getting 5 realtor calls for every buyer call? I'll bet you they are, right?
That or more,
Yep.
yeah.
And Christine, how are you planning on addressing the appraisal gap? When you
I
talk
talked
to
to
us,
what, yeah, I actually said that to a seller and they said they have plenty of money, they don't care.
what do you mean they have plenty of money?
Meaning the potential buyers, they said they have plenty of money, a lot of it's in cash, it doesn't matter.
Oh, that's your belief?
That's what they say.
So I would tell you, like, I've had lots of these calls, and when they're ignorant, they don't even understand. And here's another really interesting one, Christine. Hey, Christine, when you sell your house on your own, where you off to?
Going to
Just
Chicago.
role play. So you're going to
Oh,
you're
it's-
going to
Oh,
the
we're going to
Midwest.
Florida.
You're going to Florida. Fantastic. Now, have you been looking at properties in Florida?
Oh, a little. I have a cousin down there that's looking for me.
Okay. And are you consulting with any realtors down there?
No,
So almost without exception, when they go to buy, they're working with a realtor. And when you try this, you'll see. And why do you think they work with a realtor when they buy, but not when they sell?
so I don't have
And
to
I'm
pay
gonna
the commission.
Because they don't.
Correct. Correct. I'm going to tell you that, Christine, 95% are either, if they're actually actively looking, they probably have an agent that they spoke to because they made inquiry on Zillow, or they know somebody, or they reached out. And I'm going to stand behind that. And if you find it to be different, we'll do 20 calls together and we'll see. Next thing I want to say is, Christine, the people who look to buy without a realist, Ron Miller, can you mute yourself? Or can, let me see if I can mute everybody. I cannot. Fred, are you on? Or Ramna, can you mute, Ron?
Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
so,
Which Ron? Which Ron? Ronald Miller, Ron
no,
Piccolo.
mute everybody, and then you can unmute yourself to talk. I'll unmute myself, okay? So, my conversation would be, Christine, the people who look to find a for sale by owner, do you have any idea why they're avoiding realtors and looking to find a for sale by owner, Christine?
No, I don't.
Why do you think somebody would go around a real estate agent and look for an unrepresented seller?
Oh, to save money.
To save money, right? So
Yeah.
would you agree that they might want to save the commission? Right? And if your
Yeah.
house isn't exposed to the real estate community, there's less people that get to see it. And if there are less people that see your house, Christine, what do you think that's going to do to the price? Or Colleen?
I believe that, well, I guess if there's less people to see it, the price might go down. I might
Okay.
not get as much if there was a whole bunch of people that wanted it.
And there's few exceptions, Colleen, but for the most part, for sale by owners go for the top price for sale by owner is the market value they could have gotten with an agent minus 5 or 6%. And a lot of buyers look to take advantage of the fact that it's not exposed to all the realtors that have pre-approved buyers.
Hmm,
Does that make sense?
that makes sense.
Mhm.
You definitely have
And-
a point.
And if I do homework, like, I think it was probably about 8 months ago, I did a FISBO appointment in Parsippany. And it was two sisters, they put their father in a nursing home, and I sat there and you know, they were pretty confident they could sell it on their own, which they didn't. And we talked about, you know, how the real estate community, you know, could provide more activity. And I think in Parsippany, there might have been 400 or 500 sales, which was like 900 transaction sides in the town of Parsippany in the past year. And of those 900 transaction sides, I want to say maybe it's like 200 people did 3 or more. And I said, look, there's at least 200 people that have probably 3 to 8 buyers that are pre-qualified and able to make an offer on your house that aren't going to show it because it's not part of the MLS. And you know, if you have, you know, 900 to 1100 less qualified people that are seeing your house, what do you think that might do to the price? And it only takes a few minutes to figure this out.
The price is
you
going
know,
to go down.
Right, the price is going to go down. And, you know, even with, you know, the advent of Zillow and technology, you know, there are more transactions that involve a realtor today than there were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and 30 years ago. You might think that, you know, it's the DIY community, but it's not. Right, we provide an increasing amount of value. I had an example yesterday. I don't know if Maria Delaferro, are you on? Maybe Maria's dealing with the challenge right now, but there was a home sale that one of our agents did that had it had a illegal rental unit, lead paint. It had oil tank contamination. It had a cesspool and a couple other things. And I was like, wow, you know, whoever's, you know, getting this service is really getting a bargain, because I don't know if there are any other, maybe there was a little asbestos speckled in there and some other things, but you know, they don't realize all the things that we have to deal with, and that's just part of our day, right? So
Hey, Rob, if you, Alex
Hey,
is
Robert.
on, you want to just get this out of the way?
Okay,
So
why
we
don't you
can-
tee it up, Robert?
Okay, so as all of you know, we have a new partner in terms of home warranties, and it's ARW Home Warranties. And our rep, Alex Gandon, is on the call with us this morning, and he wanted to just introduce himself to everyone who's on the call and let you know a little bit about the company and a little bit about the services that he can help you with. So Alex, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Like Robert said, my name is Alex. I'm the senior operations manager here for the real estate branch with ARW. Joined the company in June, actually, but ARW has been doing home warranties for about 14 years now. Real estate picked up for us in January. I don't want to go over too much because I don't want to interrupt on your meetings, but Robert did say he sent everyone my contact information. I'd love to set up time with anybody that has questions or needs anything as far as materials or paper or whatever. We are working on getting a dedicated territory manager in your area for you guys, all up there. So that will be, as soon as I have updates on that, I'll definitely share those. But in the meantime, anytime you need anything, you've got my cell phone, you've got my desk phone, you've got my email. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to communicate. I actually was working with Brian Signorella this morning on an order. So that was a great start to my day. But just a real quick overview, we have our 3 main plans, our Home Essential, Home Complete, and Home Premier plans. Our Home Essential is our what we call our basic plan, so to speak. That one covers everything but the washer and dryer and the garage door springs and water and sewer. So it's kind of your home flipping one where you're adding more newer appliances in, so you're not expecting any kind of issues in the initial first year run. Home Complete is probably our best plan. It covers kitchen to curb. That's our tagline. Every appliance in the home is covered, and we cover the water and sewer lines outside of the house up to where the city stops covering it themselves. So just real quick little blurb there. Like I said, I'd love to spend some time with you guys one-on-one if anybody's interested. Feel free to reach out directly, and I'll be happy to.
what's the cost for the two different products for a typical house?
Sure. So our home essential, which again doesn't include washer and dryer, which is the biggest part in my opinion, is our basic plan. And that's going to be $550 for 1 year. Our home complete, which covers kitchen to curb, is $650. And then our premier plan, which the only difference on our premier plan is that it has double the limits on limits of liability, is $750.
That would replacements too, replacement?
Say that again, please.
Does that include replacement? So if hot water heater goes, stove goes, refrigerator replacement too?
Absolutely. If we can't repair, we replace. We also have an.
What's the difference between the second and the third best, like
So our middle of the road and the premier?
Yeah.
So our premier plan has higher limits of liability. That's really where the meat and potatoes of it is. So on our home complete plan, for example, our AC coverage, our limit of liability is $2,500. We have a limit of liability of $2,500 for heating and or for heating as well. On the premier plan, it's $5,000 each. So we kind of double. Go ahead.
So that's really limit of coverage, in my opinion, instead of liability. So
yeah, limit of coverage.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
just to put it in realtor talk, it would be limited, like the coverage limits. And
right.
as appliances are going up, Alex, you probably, you want to pay attention to that. And I was never a big fan until, I had 2 or 3 things happen in my rental property than my house. And I was like, I kept saying, well, since it just happened, maybe I'd wait. And then I acquiesced because everything's so expensive. And, we make a small commission on this, which is not a game changer in our life, but it really feels very good when somebody calls you up and like, I'm looking at you, Anthony, in the corner. Anthony, call you up and say, Anthony, my hot water heater just went, it's 2 days after closing. Will the seller pay for that? I'm going to call my lawyer. And Anthony Lambiasi, what's the answer to that in 101% of the time?
Did you get insurance?
Did you get a warranty? Right, because insurance doesn't, and if you're a first-time homeowner, you might think insurance will cover that, but it won't.
And it will not. Really, the biggest benefit of the premier plan is the double of coverage. To the earlier Ron's question, we will replace if we can't repair. We also, for ceiling fans, garbage disposals, there was one other, I think it's oh my gosh, ceiling fans. Oh, and garage door openers, it's an automatic replace versus repair. If one of your customers calls in, their garbage disposal went down, we file the claim with our adjudicator. They will literally source the nearest Lowe's, order it, and it will be delivered and installed usually within 5 days. So we just cut the review out for those things, which I think is fantastic. If you have a ceiling fan go down or a garbage disposal or garage door, which I've had a couple of those where people can't get out of it, having someone there within a few days to fix it is usually way better than having to have someone come out and look and, oh, it needs to be fixed or it needs to be replaced.
Will we have a rep in Florida?
We have several reps in Florida. So if you want to send me your email information and contact info, I will connect you with the rep in your area.
And Alex, I don't want to go too far with this, but maybe like at our local office meetings where it's a little bit more intimate, you can, talk a little bit more about it. And, I'm telling you, like, I'm not doing this for, the $50 commission that you get. I'm doing this because I just think it's the right thing to do. And having peace of mind has value. And, I get calls, especially from newer agents or team members saying, oh, my client just bought this house 2 weeks ago and this went, does the seller have any liability? And the answer is no.
Yeah.
And if we could have just sold the warranty, it would make, that would be a bad story would become a great story. Right. And that client would then be like, I am so glad that, Colleen suggested I buy this warranty.
Yep. And one of the biggest things that one of my favorite points here is we have, not only will you eventually have a territory manager in your area that's dedicated to you, but we also have a concierge that's dedicated strictly to the real estate program. So your customers aren't calling in and getting a call center or anything like that. It's coming to our office. And when they're filing a claim, we have a direct line to our adjudicator. It's literally a 3-step process. They call in, they tell them what's going on. They provide the deductible and a truck is rolled, typically within 2 days.
So Alex, look in the chat. A couple of people had asked for you to reach out to them. If you can handle that for me, that would be a great
And
start.
Alex did put his contact information in the chat as well.
Yeah,
Hey,
and
Robert, could you just copy the chat and send it to Alex? And I want to just get going ahead here because I'm so pumped up about this topic. And now we have 19 minutes. I want to know what are the questions or what's the dialogue that you feel most uncomfortable with? Right? I mean, are you comfortable going on a FSBO appointment? Somebody's trying to sell it themselves, and in 10 to 15 minutes, you can demonstrate your value proposition, have a great conversation, and try to earn the business. Are you comfortable getting on the phones because it's hard, not because it's easy? Tell me what I think yesterday, they were throwing the kitchen sink at me, and, I just look for I look for people to press me because, I really feel like if I have my true north as how do I help somebody, it makes it really easy to find a solution, right? Because I'm not trying to use some, canned, objection handler to get over it. I'm just, I'm talking from the heart, and I'm talking from contribution. So tell me what things that, give you anxiety when people ask this to you.
You talking about calling a for sale by owner?
Anything. You go on a listing appointment, I don't know. Anita, are you on? Anita?
Unless you have a buyer, don't call me.
Okay. Unless you have a buyer, don't call me. So, if somebody says, unless you have a buyer, don't call me, I'd say, you know what? Who said that? I just see a phone number. I don't recognize the voice.
Pablo.
Oh, Pablo, you disappeared from, okay. So if you don't have a buyer, don't call me.
I'm here.
Okay, I thought it was a 954 number that was talking, so I got thrown off.
That's me. Yeah, I'm on the phone and I'm on the camera. I know.
Okay. There's two Pablos. So if somebody says, hey, unless you have a buyer, don't call me, I would say, you know what? I don't really know if I have a buyer. But if you'd like, how long have you been trying to sell it on your own? They tell you something. I'd be like, so if you don't find a ready, willing, able, and satisfactory offer, how long are you going to wait before you talk to real estate professionals? Right? That would be one of the conversations. And then if they, most people would be like, I'm going to try 2 weeks or a month, and I'd say, look, Pablo, if you had 10 to 15 minutes, maybe even before your next open house, if we could get together and I could share with you what I might be able to do. And at the end, we can decide if we'd be a good fit to work together. Now, 10 to 15 minutes is not a really, huge commitment. I find like if we talk in terms of an appointment, people think of a long drawn out meeting, right? But if it's 10 minutes, do you think that's an intimidating investment of time?
Good point.
I don't really think so. And I think if we go and say, hey, at the end of the 10 or 15 minutes, I guarantee you, Pablo, that, you'll be educated. You'll have some additional information you can use to sell your house better. And if it's meant to be, and if there's value in us working together, we'll make that decision when we get together then. Right. I really feel like I'm not a sales pitch person. I'm just trying to, educate them. And, if they don't work with me, I've had people call agents that I've been out on that we didn't get it, and they refer 4 people to them because we helped them. Right? Like they sold it on their own, but they're telling their neighbors to call, Angie, So it's just crazy how that law of reciprocity works. What other things,
here's an objection for you. We get this a lot. Well, we want to sell it on our own. If we don't sell it, we're going to list it with a friend or a neighbor. We get that a lot.
Fantastic. So Ron, if you don't sell on your own, you're going to list it with a neighbor. Ron, would it be worth 10 to 15 minutes to get together and see what we might be able to do before you make that decision?
No, I don't want to waste your time. You know, we think we got it sold anyway. So, you know, if you got a buyer, bring your buyer by. But, you know, I think we've got so many people coming through here. We'll have it sold by the weekend.
Well, I wish you all the best. Now, you know, some people will sell it themselves, right? And, you know, Scott's still on here. How many people can you call in an hour with the dialer, Scott Kaplan?
We got about 150.
So if you call 150 in an hour, it's kind of like my rule when I'm door knocking, where I don't wait too long. I just move to the next one. But, you know, if you were truly committed to it, Ron, you know, you might want to call them in 2 weeks, see how it's going. And then call in another 2 weeks, see how it's going. And, you know, if I was to give you a gut check, I would say of all those people that say, you know, I have a relative that's gonna sell it, maybe a third of them actually list it with that relative, you know, and 2/3 take an alternative path. And
We
that's
just-
just
Yeah,
that's
we
just
tell
it-
them, go ahead, I'm sorry.
that's just an inside pitch to back us off.
Exactly. What we tell them too is that, you know, just for your awareness that, you know, selling a house is probably the easiest part. Getting the inspections and the appraisal done and do all the follow-ups could be challenging. So when you do get when we do get somebody that says, well, we have a friend, well, is your friend going to be able to follow up and do all the things if there's a problem with the inspection or the appraisal? Is your friend going to be able to handle that? Because if not, it can ruin your relationship with that friend or your relative if the deal goes south. So that's
Yeah.
why you really need somebody more in a professional to handle the situation for you. We try to get in that way.
I mean, a
I
lot
always
of,
like to, sorry. I
ahead,
always
Colleen.
like to say, tell me something honestly. If your friend is not performing the way you want them to, if you feel they're not living up to your expectations, are you going to be able to tell them?
That's a good point. That's
Yeah.
good.
You know, do you want to tell them that?
All right.
Because generally, you know, what happens when you criticize people and then they say, oh, well, they'll get mad and blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, it sort of opens up the door to, you know, they may be mad at you if you work with someone else, but if it's to save your relationship, I think it's worth it.
And what
So
if they screw up too? If they screw up, you got to fire them. That's going to ruin that relationship too.
So I have
Good
all these
point.
thoughts. I have all these thoughts in my head, Colleen and Ron, and you know, I've not been down the traditional training paths of real estate where you're applying a lot of logic there. And you know, I just find that like the more you talk about something for me, and you know, I'm not as comfortable doing that strategy. I just say, look, you know, I just like to have a conversation, you know, and you know, if your relative is, you know, full-time in the business, you know, you ought to interview your relative, compare it to what we have to talk about and make a decision that's right for your family. You know, because the more you talk about, well, could you fire your relative? For me, I just don't feel that that's my strong suit in the communication channel. Mine is like, hey, you know, I respect that you have family, you know, I'm just saying, would you be open to a 10-minute conversation? And, you know, if you saw that the strategies that we can use to help you sell your house for the absolute highest price in the shortest period of time, you know, if that was something that you agree that makes sense for us to do, that's great. If not, you have an education, you can share it with your sister or your cousin, whoever, right? And, you know, you're gonna lose some, okay? If you have the mindset that you can't lose some, then you're setting yourself up for failure, because when you're in the prospecting business, you have to lose some, right? But if you have a strategy where you're just trying to help people, you want to get in there, how many people have a relative, or how many relatives of yours, you know, inquired about a property on Zillow or drove past an open house and bought without you? Anybody?
A friend or relative? Wow.
A friend or relative or a client, you're working with this client for months, and then they tell you, oh, Ron, I'm sorry, we were going to church and we drove past this open house and we bought it.
Yeah, we talked about
It
that
happens to
yesterday.
everybody.
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday and in our
So-
class. But that's a good point because it does happen.
So wouldn't you want to be that other person that, doesn't, I mean, I don't want to ever be, I don't want to be putting people down. Like, that's just not my style. Like, hey, if your cousin's not full-time, if your cousin's not in the area, if your sister, like, I just don't like going in that direction, me personally. Okay. I would just say, look, here's what I have. Here's the strategies that we have. And I would end the conversation by saying, Ron and Colleen, if we decided to work together, and all I ever did was get a commission for selling your house, I'd be truly disappointed because I want to do such a good job that, when you hear anybody mentioning real estate, you want to give them my information. And if you say that with conviction without a sales pitch, I mean, how does that sound to you guys on the phone?
Sounds kind. You sound kind.
Right. But I mean,
Sounds real.
is getting
You
that
sound
commission,
honest. I like that.
is
Yeah.
getting that commission more important than building a fantastic relationship that provides you with more opportunities because you did an awesome job, right?
No,
Rob, I have a story to share. Yesterday, I had a friend's mother, and this friend, she's a great referral source for me over the years. She has a daughter who's licensed, but not really doing anything with it. And the mother is going to be buying a home and called me frantic yesterday. My daughter's so upset. My daughter's so upset I'm using you, but I have to use you. I trust you. I want to use you. I said, listen, don't worry. I'll give your daughter a referral fee. Just tell her to call me. I understand how it works. She said, thank God, Cindy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I said, just, have her call me. We'll work it out. As far as FSBOs, I can share a story for one FSBO. I had a buyer that truly wanted to see a FSBO. So I took them over to see the house. I asked, are you working with agents? No. A few weeks later, they called me to list their home because they said I was willing to serve the buyer without any commission or promise of a commission.
Right. I don't know if I think Maria is not on, but there was somebody in Tinton Falls
Maria's
who.
on.
Oh, Maria's on.
I've been
Maria,
here the whole time.
So Maria, who was the person that wanted to see a FSBO, and I said just do it for nothing, then they wound up, after putting it together, the
Yeah,
buyer was like, I'll pay you a commission.
That was
and-
Nicole Bostich.
the
Not
thing is-
only did, yeah, go ahead.
And no, I just want to say beforehand that, most people would be like, hey, the seller's adamant they don't want to pay a commission. Will you pay me, 2% if I negotiate this for you, right? Then you're like you're putting your interest ahead of the client's. And this was an amazing, it's almost like the life is, designed to give us these stories. So go ahead, Maria, because we didn't ask for a commission, and tell them what happened.
No, so it was a Zillow lead for Nicole Bostich. She tried desperately to get the appointment for the buyers directly with the seller. The seller adamantly said, you can bring your buyer, but I'm not paying you a penny. So she said, well, I just want to bring my buyer. And she did. And she explained to the buyer, look, I will help you as much as I can. However, I'm not being paid, but I want you to get this place because it's the only place that they wanted to be in. So that particular contract fell through. However, they bought another place with her that was $280,000 more. Plus, she got to list their home up north.
Right, but when that contract was together, they called her up and said that they would pay her a commission while it was pending.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, that they said, we don't want you to work for nothing. We will pay you. And they were paying her 2%.
And it was under contract, and Nicole did not ask for it. Nicole did the right thing. So, Cindy, it kind of piggybacks off of, your story about doing the right thing. And, I think that was what, a couple of years ago, Maria, or pre-pandemic?
A year and a half ago during the pandemic.
Okay. So I mean, like, you know, Maria's such an advocate for her team. She's like, Rob, should we ask them to pay a commission? And we went back and forth. I'm like, nah, I just feel like, you know, I don't want her to work for nothing, but I think that was the right path to go, right? We kind of talked about it at a high level, and then we encouraged Nicole to just, you know, just give it away and see what happened. So it's
It worked out.
an interesting story. So that was a sale and a
Oh,
listing.
and they referred her to two of their friends who are also in that 900 to 1.2 million. So she's getting two other buyers out of this.
Now
All
it's starting
good.
to be, now it's starting to be almost unbelievable, but I know it's true because like there's no motivation, but like when you do the right thing, you know, just other things happen. Yeah, I'm surprised we don't have more objections. We have a bashful group on here today because I really, you know, I want to hear what the tough challenges are. You know, I enjoy going out on appointments. I enjoy, you know, door knocking, calling. I enjoy helping everybody have a breakthrough.
I have
What about-
an objection or a challenge that I'm facing right now with a FSBO. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Sarah.
So I have a FSBO that was from a cold call, and I came to the appointment, and as I approached the appointment, I realized this woman was in conducting interviews. So there was like 3 of us waiting for her, and we're all going one after the other. So I kind of had to take a different approach with her, where I didn't want to like waste time and try and promise her, you know, like the stars and the moons and all this stuff. So I kind of just went in straight with her and told her like what I would do for her, and what she's really looking for was someone who's gonna market the property. She had 2 bad experiences with 2 prior agents where they just put it on the MLS, didn't do open houses, didn't do marketing. Another agent didn't even present her an offer that was made, even though it was below asking. So she's kind of jaded by the experiences she had. And so the situation I'm facing with her, she's a tough woman too, tough older Greek woman. And but she took a liking to me, and so I followed up with her, and I'm right in the backyard of the home that she's trying to list. She wants to list it, but she wants someone who's gonna promote it prior to signing an agreement, because she wants to see what activity I'm gonna bring. So that's the challenge I'm having with her. I mean,
So Sarah, let me just tell you what I think would be effective for one of these tough old Greek ladies. Okay, because I've seen I know the profile, and the strategy I would use is, look, you know, we're not, you know, we can't promote it on our resources unless we have an agreement in writing. Okay. I understand that you're jaded from your prior experiences. If we decide to work together, I'm going to make a personal investment in marketing, both photography and promoting your home. What I'd be willing to do, Sarah, and I'm just pretending you're the seller, what I'd be willing to do for you, Sarah, is I'd be willing to do all that information. I'd be willing to give you a 48-hour termination provision. If you're not satisfied, you just send an email to my broker and then that gives me 48 hours to de-identify the property from our marketing channels, and you can go on your own. And, you know, more important than that, Sarah, would be, you know, if all I did was list your home, get it sold for a price that's satisfactory, and you never referred me or felt I did an exceptional job and went out of your way to refer me to your friends and family, I would really feel like, you know, I'd rather not even enter into this relationship at this point, right? If all I ever get is a commission just because I barely sell your house at an acceptable price, that's not what I'm looking for. I think that would be a relevant conversation, and whether it works or not, it identifies what, you know, it kind of calls out, you know, her bluff, right?
Right. So you're saying give her 48 hours from the time of like listing agreement? Or
No, so like, look, I mean, I'm trying to address the part that she's jaded, right? And I'm saying, look, I'm comfortable that I can perform. So the way it would work is, you know, if we can, you know, hypothetically, Sarah, we decided to work together, we would come up with a date today and when we're going to have it hit the market, get reintroduced to the market. Okay, maybe that's next Saturday or Sunday. And then if after it hits the market, you're not satisfied at any point, you email myself and Julio, and within 48 hours, we'll release it or we'll fix whatever you're not dissatisfied with. And I will even put that in writing for you. But beyond that, Sarah, more importantly is if all I do is sell your house and I don't wow you and you're not, you know, over the top pleased with the experience, if I knew that in advance, I wouldn't even enter into this relationship because most of my sellers and buyers, you know, find value and want to refer me to their friends and family.
It's real good.
Who likes that?
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Love it.
So,
I've had you know, several conversations with her and even Carlos along with me. And so like we tried to explain to her that we are unable to, prior to an agreement, do any type of marketing for her. And she's still just kind of adamant. She's like, well, after 7 days, I'll sign a listing agreement. And she's just kind of not even understanding the
right.
also the liability of it.
So Sarah, if this one doesn't materialize, don't be discouraged, right? It's a learning experience for you. And as you continue to do this, you'll become more confident and you'll have wins under your belt. And then you're going to leverage those wins to get more wins, if that makes any sense. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, look, you know, my message is, you know, be prepared, be confident, don't wish it was easy, you know, appreciate that it's hard and rise to the challenge, right? Because if it was easy, they wouldn't need us. I hate to break the news to you. So the fact that it's hard gives me confidence that, you know, I can make a bigger contribution to any working relationship we have, right? I mean, if it was easy, Amazon would be doing our business, right? They wouldn't need us. You know, Jeff Bezos would be controlling real estate. He'd be doing mortgages too, Bruce, if it was easy. But now we have a challenge, right? We have, you know, everybody's unique. So, you know, our business is a people business. It's a service business, right? I mean, you know, Jeff Bezos isn't going to, you know, do legal work. Jeff Bezos isn't going to do open heart surgery. Jeff Bezos isn't going to control the real estate market.
Rob, there's another agent who's got their hand up. Donna.
Okay. Hey, Donna.
Hi, good morning. I just wanted to mention the experience I had a while back with my cleaning lady who I, you know, knew very well. And I had shown her some homes and one day she showed her my house to clean and she said, oh, by the way, over the weekend, my husband and I went to look at some homes and I guess they were pre-construction. And she said, well, we did tell him that we were working with a realtor, but you know, he really high pressured us and we went ahead and put a down payment and, you know, bought the home. So my broker at the time, you know, contacted them and, you know, after not returning calls, finally I got like a $300, you know, commission out of it. But, you know, that's something that's very hard to control. But the thing I wanted to ask is I don't work with a lot of buyers, but how often do people get buyers to sign those agreements to that they have to work with them, and you know how like they're not really that contractually bound, I guess.
I mean, I'm not opposed to those, Donna, but I think, you know, every painful experience is a lesson that we learn. And, you know, I'm hard on myself that way. I say, what could I have done differently to have changed the outcome? And if there's nothing that I could have done differently, I just move on, right? And to me, like the $300, whatever they gave you, is just like, kind of adding insult to injury. I know it's well intended. But maybe I would go back and say, hey, congratulations, I just wanted to let you know if there's anything I can do to help you, any questions in the process, and if there's anyone that, I can serve, please keep me in mind. But I'm a little bit harder on myself to look at if there's anything I could have done wrong. And if there's nothing I could have done wrong, I just move on and I make the best out of it. And if there's something I could have learned from it, I still try to make the best out of it and say, hey, I know you intended to work with us. Do you know anyone else that's looking to sell in the next 6 months or buy in the next 6 months?
Okay, thanks.
All right. So, when I'm down in Southeast Florida, I'm going to have Fozzie put something together. We'll do like a 3-hour workshop, and I want you to go out there, find some objections. I want you to bring them to the meeting. I don't guarantee I have answers for them, but I feel pretty comfortable I can live pivot and try to add some value. Okay. And if you're up here in New Jersey, Thursday nights, I think maybe the next Thursday, I didn't see anything on the calendar, but the 8th is we have a call session and a role play beforehand. Those live events, I think, drive a lot more personal interaction, and I think you get a little bit extra value out of them. So if you can, I know there might be inconvenient, it's inconvenient for me too, but if you can make it, please show up in person, and I'm doing it all for you guys. All right. Have a fantastic weekend, and thanks for giving me an hour and 8 minutes of your time.